Chapter 12 of the Bobbsey Twins at Cloverbank. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Helen Kay. The Bobbsey Twins at Cloverbank by Laura Lee Hope. Flossie's Bear. Mr. Bobbsey, who had gone into the barn before Bert left the orchard driving Tramper, now ran out of the building, somewhat alarmed and fearing his son might be hurt. But Bert had been thrown a little distance from the cart and had landed safely on a clump of soft grass at the side of the lane, so he wasn't hurt at all. As for Tramper, he didn't seem to mind it in the least. He just stood still when he felt something wrong happening, and he let the cart go over. In fact, he could not have stopped it, had he wished. "Bert, why in the world did you turn so sharply?" asked his father as he ran over to pick up the boy. But Bert did this for himself. "You shouldn't have made such a sudden turn," went on Mr. Bobbsey. "I know it now," Bert ruefully answered as he looked at the peaches scattered over the ground. "But I turned so I wouldn't run over a mud turtle." "Well, of course, that was a kind thing to do," went on his father, "but a slower turn might have saved the turtle and also saved the cart from upsetting. However, it can't be helped now." "Bert tipped over! Oh, Bert, you tipped right over, didn't you?" gasped Flossie. "I sure did," answered her brother, trying to smile. "And you spilled the peaches, didn't you?" went on Freddie. "Didn't you spill the peaches, Bert?" "I guess anyone can see that," Bert said. "What will Mr. Watson say?" asked Flossie. "I don't know," answered Bert. "But you two run into the barn now, and I'll pick 'em up." "We'll help," kindly offered Flossie. "Of course we will," added her twin brother. "It won't take long, with all of us helping," put in Nan. Mr. Bobbsey, with the help of some of the men who were sorting peaches in the barn, turned the cart over on its wheels again, and then began the work of tossing back into it the spilled peaches. "No great harm done," said the man in charge of the sorting. "These are bruised peaches anyhow, and a few more knocks won't make 'em any worse. It's a good thing you were driving Tramper instead of a livelier horse, my boy," he continued, "or he might have run away when he felt the cart going over." "Yes, I'm glad Tramper stood still," Bert rejoined. The horse had begun to eat grass after the accident, as much as to say that it wasn't his fault, and he didn't care how long they took to load the cart again. But at last the spilled fruit was gathered up, and once more Bert mounted the seat and took the reins. For Mr. Watson, arriving from a distant orchard and hearing about the accident, had said that Bert was to try again. "You might as well learn now as any time not to turn a wagon too suddenly," he said kindly to the boy. "Get up and try again. I'll watch you and tell if you turn too short." So Bert had a lesson in driving, and he was glad Mr. Watson had not been angry because of the upset, but the farmer knew that young people must have a chance to learn, and so he was patient. "Whoa!" called Bert as he drove Tramper into the barn with a load of soft fruit and stopped the cart where Mr. Watson told him to. Then the fruit was put into wooden bins and the sorting went on. "Do you want to bring in another load?" asked the farmer. "Do you think it's safe to trust him?" inquired Mr. Bobbsey. "I don't want him to make a lot of work for you." "He can't hurt the soft peaches much anyhow," the farmer went on, "and there's nothing like letting a boy know how to handle a horse. He'll be safer with Tramper than any other animal. Go on, Bert, drive back to the orchard and get more peaches." "Could we ride with him?" begged Flossie. "Oh, let's!" called Freddie. "Well, we'll all go," said Mr. Bobbsey, I used to know how to drive a horse, and if Bert gets into any trouble, I can help him out. But don't upset this load, son, he warned with a laugh, as he put the small twins into the cart while he helped Nan up and then got in himself. They sat on boards placed across the high sides of the cart. "I'll be very careful," promised Bert. The turtle, which had been the innocent cause of the other accident, crawled off in the high grass around the barn. Bert started Tramper back on the trip to the orchard, and this time he made the return with a load of peaches in safety, driving proudly into the barn almost as well as one of the men could have done. The barn and the orchard were now busy places, for Mr. Watson wanted to get as much fruit to market as he could while the weather was good. He expected to make 2 or more pickings, as more and more peaches were ripened by the sun, and the earlier he could haul his fruit to market, the more money he would get. "It's the early fruit that sells best," he said. The sorting went on in the big barn, basket after basket of choice yellow and red peaches being packed, covered, and set in a cool place, ready to be taken the next day on the big truck to Hitchville. There was quite a large peach market, where buyers came from the big cities, miles away, to bargain for the fruit. "And we're going there tomorrow," sang Flossie that night, after a day of fun, part of which was spent in the peach orchard. "Are we going to take baby baby Jenny?" asked Nan of Mrs. Watson. "No," was the answer. "She will be better off at home. I have told your father that Jenny and I are sorry to decline his nice invitation to go along, but when she gets as big as you, I expect she will help her father gather the peaches," she added as she cuddled the baby in her arms. The next day was a fine one, the sun shining down from a sky of blue, with white clouds floating here and there like sailing ships. "Well, everything looks well for a big peach crop," said Mr. Watson as the truck was starting off on the road to Hitchville. As the truck would have to travel more slowly than the faster pleasure car, Mr. Bobbsey would not leave Cloverbank for several minutes yet. At the end of this time, the Bobbsey twins and their father and mother were on the highway, over which they had come a few days before in the driving rainstorm. "You take the children out to the peach market, and I'll do some shopping," Mrs. Bobbsey told her husband. "You can stop for me on the way home." The peach market was in a big open lot near a railroad siding, on which stood many freight cars. Even before the children reached the place they could smell the sweet perfume of the peaches. And such a busy place as the peach market was. At first Bert and the others could make little of it. There were so many motor and horse-drawn trucks, so many men shouting back and forth, so many freight cars, with an engine puffing up every now and then to haul them away. There was so much confusion that the Bobbsey twins did not know what it was all about. A man would jump up on a box or a barrel and shout something. Other men would shout something back at him. Then they would wave their hands. They would write down something on pieces of paper and move away. Then the same thing would happen in another place. "What are they doing?" Nan asked her father. "Selling loads of peaches by auction to the highest bidder," was the answer. "There is Mr. Watson. Watch him." The children saw their farmer friend standing up on the seat of his big motor truck, which was piled high with baskets of peaches, some of which the children had picked. About Mr. Watson's truck were gathered a number of men, some of whom were lifting the edges of the covers over the baskets to look at the kind of peaches grown at Cloverbank. Then followed much talk and shouting, until at last Mr. Watson was heard to exclaim, "Sold! Where do you want them?" "Take them to that car," directed a man, hurriedly writing something on a piece of paper and giving it to the farmer. "Mr. Watson has just sold his load of peaches," explained Mr. Bobbsey. Several buyers offered different prices for them after seeing what fine fruit he had, and Mr. Watson sold to the man who would give him the most money. He will now put his peaches into a freight car, and later they will be hauled by the engine to some distant city. There they will go to what is called a wholesale dealer. He has bought them here, through his agent, or a commission man, as he is called. The wholesale man will sell them to the stores, and the stores will sell them to the people who want a quart or a single basket. That is how the peach business is carried on. "When I grow up," said Freddie, as he looked at all that was going on, "I guess I'll be a peach man instead of a fireman." "Oh, so you've changed your mind, have you?" laughed his father. Ever since he was a small lad, Freddie had said many times that he was going to be a fireman. No toy pleased him more than a little engine or a hook and ladder truck. But now he seemed to have a different idea. "Well, we'll see when you grow up," laughed his father. They had lost sight of Mr. Watson now, but guessed, as was the fact, that he had gone to unload his truckload of peaches into the box-car. Soon they saw him again, his truck empty, and he waved his hand to them and called, "Back now for another load." "Good luck to you," wished Mr. Bobbsey. After remaining a little while longer to view the busy scenes in the peach market, the Bobbsey twins were taken back to Hitchville, where they met their mother, who had finished her shopping. "Well, did you have a good time?" she asked. "Fine," answered Bert. "And I was going to be a peach man, but I guess I'll be a fireman like I always was," Freddie told her. "Perhaps that will be best," his mother agreed with a laugh. Back to Cloverbank drove Mr. Bobbsey and his family, and there they found the picking and sorting of peaches still going on. "Let's watch 'em sort peaches in the barn," suggested Bert. The work was now going on faster, for Mr. Watson wanted to take advantage of the good weather and the high prices fruit was bringing. After a while, Flossie and Freddie, in the spirit of investigation, wandered down to a lower floor of the big barn. "What place is this, do you suppose, Freddie?" asked the little girl as she pointed to a small door in the side wall. "I don't know," Freddie answered. "Maybe it's a sort of ice box where Mr. Watson keeps peaches overnight." "Maybe," Flossie said. "I'm going to look in and see." She tried to open the door, but it stuck, and she called to Freddie to help her. Together the children managed to open it, the workers in the barn paying little attention to the twins, for there was no work going on near this door. No sooner was the door opened, allowing Flossie to enter a little way, than she gave a scream and cried, "Oh, there's a bear there! Look at the bear! Oh, Freddie!" She darted back so quickly that she knocked Freddie down. End of chapter 12.